In 1969, humanity took one small step on the moon. In 2025, we might just take a giant leap into something we were never meant to find. 2 nations, 1 destination, and a secret buried beneath the ancient dust of the moon. For decades, the moon stood silent, a cold, lifeless witness to humanity's greatest achievement and its quiet retreat. But something has changed. NASA and China are now racing to return. Not for glory, not for science, but for control. And strangely, they both have their eyes set on the exact same place, the moon's south pole. Officially, it's about water, ice trapped in craters cloaked in eternal shadow. It could be the key to sustaining life and launching missions deeper into space. But unofficially, something else may be drawing them in. Whispers behind closed doors speak of strange data, anomalies, irregular formations beneath the surface, signals that don't match any known origin. Initial satellite scans from both sides revealed something unexpected, a symmetrical structure embedded deep below the lunar soil, perfectly geometric, impossible to explain as natural. Suddenly, communication starts to falter. A NASA satellite disappears from tracking. A Chinese drone loses signal near a dark, unexplored pit. Accusations fly. Sabotage, espionage. But what if neither side is responsible? What if something ancient has been buried beneath the moon for millennia, waiting? This isn't just another space mission. This is the beginning of a new space race. One not for flags or prestige, but for the key to something far more powerful and far more dangerous. The south pole of the moon was once just another unexplored corner of a familiar rock. Now, it's the most coveted spot in all of space. NASA's Artemis program is aiming to land humans on the lunar surface again, but this time, they're not just planting flags. They're planning to stay. Using lunar ice to extract water, oxygen, and even hydrogen for fuel, Artemis wants to build a long-term base that could serve as a launch point for deeper space missions, especially to Mars. But China has plans of its own. Its ambitious Chang'e program has already placed rovers, orbiters, and landers on the moon. And now, China is quietly preparing to deploy components of its own lunar outpost, with designs for a modular base that could grow over time. Their target? The exact same region. Why? Because the South Pole offers 3 critical advantages. Sunlight, some peaks receive near-continuous solar energy. Water ice, locked in permanently shadowed craters. Strategic elevation, allowing better communication and visibility. Control of this area means control of lunar logistics, power, resources, and possibly territory. International treaties, like the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, prohibit nations from owning parts of celestial bodies, but boots on the ground, infrastructure in place, that changes everything. It's a gray zone, and both sides know it. Behind the scenes, satellite data analysts from both nations have flagged inconsistencies, strange electromagnetic pulses, underground voids that appear and vanish between scans. Something doesn't fit. Some scientists quietly suspect that the interest in this region isn't just about water or sunlight, but about what lies beneath. If a foreign object, artificial, ancient, and unknown, were to be found, whoever finds it first could change the balance of power on Earth forever. The race is no longer just about who gets there. It's about who gets what's hidden there, before the other side does. It started with a glitch. Just days after both nations had established early operations near the lunar South Pole, a NASA satellite, codenamed Horizon 12, disappeared from orbit. No impact, no debris, just gone. Its last transmission? A distorted image, blurry, dark, something triangular in the shadows. Hours later, China's rover U-29 encountered a complete system failure while scanning a ridge near the Shackleton crater. All telemetry vanished. Engineers tried to reboot it remotely, but the signal was gone, as if something had blocked it entirely. Both events were isolated, At first, then came more. Communications from the Artemis command module began to suffer sudden interference, sharp static bursts, garbled data, and strange pulses that didn't match any known frequency. China's mission control reported similar disruptions, but insisted the issue was internal. Neither side was convinced. Unofficially, both began to suspect sabotage. Shadowy discussions emerged between intelligence agencies. Was one nation trying to blind the other? Or was there a third variable? Lunar orbit cameras picked up strange anomalies, brief flashes of movement along the surface. But when replayed frame by frame, nothing was there. Some scientists blamed dust storms. Others weren't so sure. Then the real shock. Deep penetrating radar from both missions simultaneously registered an unnatural cavity beneath the surface. Octagonal in shape, perfectly aligned with lunar magnetic anomalies previously ignored. What are the odds? The findings were immediately classified, and for the first time, neither side released images to the public. Instead, operations were rerouted. Communication protocols were tightened. Even astronauts' logs were censored. Something had been found. Something neither side was ready to explain or admit. A silent tension fell over both missions, not just political, but primal, as if something old and watchful had just been disturbed. The discovery was undeniable. Buried 30 meters beneath the moon's south pole, radar imaging from both Chinese and American missions had captured the same impossible reading: a vast, hollow structure, octagonal, geometrically perfect, no signs of collapse, no natural explanation. In the command centers, silence fell. The structure was approximately 200 meters wide, its walls echoing clean, angular signatures, like something built, not formed. Metal? Crystal? Unknown. Instruments failed to provide a clear composition. Every scan returned slightly different results, as if the object was cloaked in interference. NASA immediately launched an internal task force, codenamed Project Helix, to investigate. China responded with its own, far more secretive initiative, Operation Silent Dome. Neither shared their findings with the public, or each other. Meanwhile, strange patterns began to appear. Power surges in orbiting satellites, navigation anomalies. Even human operators in both missions reported sensory disruptions near the site. Muffled hearing, dizziness, brief visual flashes. One astronaut on the Artemis team described it in a redacted log. I felt, watched. Not by a person, not by a camera, by the moon itself, like it knew we were there. Despite the warnings, both nations accelerated deployment. Robotic probes were lowered into the borehole. Video feeds showed smooth interior walls, pulsing with faint, rhythmic light, like a heartbeat made of stone. Then, the signal broke. For 12 minutes, all communications from inside the structure were lost. When contact returned, the probe's internal clock had jumped ahead by 3 hours. All recorded footage during that window was corrupted, replaced with static and fragments of symbols no one could translate. In the following days, researchers tried to compare findings, but nothing aligned. It was as if the structure revealed different data depending on who scanned it. One theory began to circulate within the Project Helix circle. It's not just a structure, it's responding to us. Was it ancient technology, a tomb, a relay, or something else entirely? And more importantly, was it still active? No one said it out loud, but every scientist, every commander, and every politician involved felt the same unspoken dread. They had awakened something. Within days, everything changed. Data about the underground structure vanished from public archives. Press briefings were canceled. Experts who had spoken openly began refusing interviews. Whistleblowers claimed that both NASA and China's space agency were ordered to suppress all related findings. The cover-up had begun. Inside Project Helix, the theory grew darker. The symbols retrieved from the corrupted video feed weren't just gibberish. Linguists and AI analysts began detecting recurring patterns, mathematical rhythms, mirrored logic, and even syntax-like structures. Not random noise. A language? The more they studied it, the more it seemed deliberate. Meanwhile, intercepted communications between military satellites showed both nations were mobilizing assets. Unmarked payloads were launched toward lunar orbit. Cybersecurity teams were activated. Backdoor attempts to breach each other's databases increased. Publicly, both nations claimed technical difficulties. But in the shadows, they were in a silent war, not just for control, but for exclusive access to whatever the structure was hiding. Then came the leak. An anonymous source, using the pseudonym Echo 7, uploaded a trove of encrypted files to a secure, decentralized server. Within them, high-resolution scans of the structure, fragments of translated symbols, and internal memos from both Project Helix and Operation Silent Dome. One memo, marked Top Secret, Level 9, read, "Preliminary analysis suggests the object predates human civilization. Estimated age, 1.3 billion years. Composition, unknown. Function, unknown. But it's broadcasting." Another note simply stated, "If this is real, control over the moon is no longer about minerals or water. It's about survival." The implications were staggering. Was it a remnant of an ancient alien race? A probe left behind? A warning system? Or a locked door, waiting to be opened? And if it's transmitting, to whom? Inside the highest levels of both governments, fear was growing. Not just of what they'd found, but of who else might be listening. Because if the signal was outbound, something might answer. The world remained unaware. Governments issued no statements. News outlets speculated, but lacked facts. The moon, to the public, was still just a rock, still, cold, and silent. But silence is not the absence of sound. Sometimes it's the prelude to something far louder. 3 days after the Echo 7 leak, both NASA and China detected something new. It wasn't a structure, it wasn't a signal, it was movement. Inside the underground chamber, sensors registered a shift, subtle but real. Pressure readings changed, magnetic fields spiked, and for the first time since the structure's discovery, a sound was recorded, a tone, deep, resonant, almost musical. It lasted only 11 seconds, but it was enough. Within hours, both Artemis and Chang'e missions entered full lockdown. Satellite coverage was limited. All external communication was routed through encrypted channels, and all further exploration of the chamber was suspended indefinitely. Why? Because deep inside the structure, new symbols had appeared, etched across the walls, symbols that hadn't been there before, as if something had responded. Neither side knew how, or when, or who had replied. Was it automatic? Was it intelligent? Was it watching us all along? And then came the last chilling message from a Chinese orbital drone before it went dark. They know we're here. No further transmissions followed. Back on Earth, behind every locked door, every silent meeting, and every redacted document, one question lingered like a shadow no one dared name aloud. What happens next? The moon is no longer just a destination. It's a threshold, a doorway, and we may have just knocked.